Welcome to Start PT Now Podcast to let you know what's going on in your world and my world. Your guy, my guy, right guy.
That's right. We're back again. We're joined by Function with Franco, a.k.a. Franco Ortuno from the Aspen Hill Club, personal trainer, here to show us how he makes the money, basically. You saw right there the bicep, and that's what he can do for you. So he's going to share his expertise. We got some great questions for him, as always. And otherwise, just want to say thank you for joining us, Franco.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be back. I feel like it's been a while.
It's been too long.
It's been too long. The holidays, everything, but I think we all needed a little break, right?
Well, the benefit with the holidays here is everyone's on this thing called the resolution. And last week we spoke about the McGill 3. Mm-hmm. Now, talk to me a little bit about what the McGill 3 can do for me if I'm going to start an upper body workout.
So, the McGill Big 3. Biggest thing with that is we're just looking to activate the core. Get your core ready because the core is a big part of a lot of our lifts and we don't realize it. A lot of the stability that's created throughout the body, a lot of the tension that you're creating throughout the body in order to generate power for certain lifts is coming from the core. So it's important that we're warming up the proper way, getting our core activated instead of just throwing it in there cold into a lift where you are looking to, put on some weight, but maybe that's going to hold you back because you properly didn't warm up. So very important. We got the McGill Big 3. Typically, you want to do those anytime. It doesn't matter whether you're doing upper body, whether you're doing lower body. The core is something that we're using throughout the whole body.
So let's say I want to get the pecs going. I really want to fire it up there. What would be the first exercise I should start with? A bench, a pull-up? What should I do after I do the Big 3?
I'll tell you, after doing the Big 3, the McGill Big 3, when it comes to whether you're doing chest, whether you're doing back, any upper body movement, I always love to warm up, and not just myself. This is something that I do with my clients because I've seen how effective it is. We do a lot of rotating, so whether it's internal rotation, external rotation. Typically, when I'm doing these as a warm-up, the traditional ways, you see a lot of people doing them with dumbbells, kind of with their arm rested on with their elbow rested on their knee, and they're going like this. I like to use a resistance band just because the resistance profile is a little bit different. You're going to see it getting tighter, a little bit harder, in that end range. So I'll always do internal and external rotations with my elbow abducted from the body.
Okay.
So that's number one. It's 2 exercises, but I like to count it as 1. Number 2 is I always like to do some sort of face pull variation, whether I'm pulling from a high angle, horizontal angle, or a low angle. And that's also just to get my shoulder complex, my scapular complex warmed up because it's a big part of whether you're pushing something or you're pulling your shoulders. They're a big part of that movement, right? So that's number 2. Number 3, I would say, going to be just a simple push variation or pull variation. Typically, I'll do it on one arm at a time. So same thing, the same resistance band that I'm using to do those internal and external rotations is the same resistance band I'm going to use to do my press and my row. So what I like to do is I'll get on one knee, have that resistance band behind me, and I'm pressing, kind of like imagining like I'm doing a punch, right? And then I'll follow that with a row. I'll have that resistance band in front of me, keeping my elbow close to the body, and I'm driving that band as far back as I can. Those are my 3 that I would go with. I know that was a little bit more than 3, but I like to count some of those as
well,
one.
We're overachieving here. Right, guy? What do we have for him?
Yeah, no, we always love a little bonus there. That sounds like a great routine. You said that's for sort of building the upper body, kind of getting it warmed up and ready to go.
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome. And that's definitely a great follow-up for the McGill Big 3. We did a really awesome video on that just a few weeks back. So be sure to check that out on our page at Start PT Now or at Function with Franco, the with being a W. And both those will be on the screen right now. I kind of wanted to then stick with the idea of resolutions. As we said, it's been a while. It's 2025 now. I just want to know, in your opinion, as a personal trainer, someone who's always trying to stay motivated, how can someone set realistic and achievable fitness goals for the new year and stay consistent with it instead of falling off after the first month?
So the biggest thing is I feel like you just have to be realistic with yourself, not only with yourself, but with your coach too, right? You can go to your coach and be like, hey, I want to put on muscle. This is how much time I have to do it. If you tell me, hey, I want to put on 5 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'm going to look at you like, are you crazy? I have to, sometimes I have to break it down to him. And a lot of times, like, if I can get my point across the right way, people will actually be like, okay, yeah, you know what? I see. Maybe it is going to take a little bit longer. Maybe it's not according to the way that I want it to, but you gave me that point of view, that perspective. So the biggest thing is being realistic, Be realistic with your goals. Set a goal that's actually attainable, something that you can measure, whether it's, okay, I'm starting off doing 135 on the bench. My goal is to do 155 by the end of the month. So that you can easily break it down into something that's attainable, something that's measurable. One week you're doing 135. The next week you're doing 140. The following week you're doing 145. Last week you're doing 155, right?
Right.
So it's very important to take that big goal and break it down into steps and actually check off those steps, check off those goals little by little to achieve the big goal.
Now, let me ask you, Franco, when you're training a new client, do you set those goals for your client, or do they come in with these unrealistic goals and this vision of having a six-pack by June?
A lot of times they come to me with their goals already, right? Sometimes, a lot of times, their main goal is just staying in shape or getting into shape. And with things like that, depending where you are with your activity level, we can achieve that really quick, or it might take a little bit longer.
Tell me the differences between what you just said, staying in shape and getting in shape.
So we have people who've been working out for a while, right? And I'm going to say, we're going to accord this. Let's say they've been working out 3 times a week for 30 minutes for the past 3 months, okay? The 3 threes is what I like to call it. If you've been doing that for the past 3 months, 30 minutes, 3 times a week, to me, and according to the books, according to the literature, from what I read, classifies you as in shape, someone who's active, right? Now, if you're coming to me, you have no experience or very little experience. Maybe you worked out sporadically throughout the past few years in the gym a few times a month, but not really consistent on a weekly basis. Then that tells me, okay, this person's a little bit further behind. It's going to take them a little bit longer to adapt, or a little bit longer to learn certain movement patterns.
I think that's really important, especially helpful to have someone by your side sort of setting those realistic expectations for you and sort of holding you accountable, motivating you through the process. Mm-hmm. That's a big reason why, like, starting this month, it's been really helpful for me. I've been going to the gym with a friend, and that's been really helpful, us keeping each other accountable, bringing each other different ideas, different exercises, and you kind of end up pushing yourself to do more in the process as well. One thing I have been noticing, the more and more I do, I feel like I always hit a point, and this happened a lot last year, where I hit a plateau. I almost feel like, okay, I've done so much and I feel like I've made this progress, but now I don't know how to take it to the next step. I'm just wondering if you felt this sort of thing yourself, or if you've run into this challenge with clients as well, and if there's any way you've found to sort of push through that or get to the next stage.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely experienced this myself many times, of course. And this was definitely like in the past 2 years. I'm talking like 2023 and before that, when I was still learning a lot of what I know now. Some things I wasn't doing right then compared to now. I would say this past year, I didn't have many points where I felt like I hit a plateau. I actually felt this past year, 2024, probably I would say I felt the strongest I ever have in my life. Wow. And that's because I've been specifically programming my workouts a certain way. Certain months I'll go heavier, certain months I'll kind of go lighter. I'm always going to the gym having something set for me already. I already know how many sets, how many reps I'm going to hit, what weight I'm going to hit, what exercises, in what order I'm going to do. And I feel like that's a big part of not plateauing and tracking how much you're hitting every week, right? Because a lot of times when we hit a plateau is we're trying to do so much in a small amount of time rather than expanding that goal over a prolonged period of time.
Aim small, miss small type theory, so that way you can stay diligent on your workouts.
I'm going to take me as an example, right? Right now, my max bench is 235. So that's 245 plates and 5 pounds on each side. So my goal for the next month, I'm talking today, January 14th through February 14th, I want to look to add at least 5 to 10 pounds on that bench. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take 2 weeks, these next 2 weeks, the next 2 times I go to the gym to hit chest in the next 2 weeks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on lower volume but heavy weight. So right now I'm going to start off my first set 185, going for 6, second set 185 for 4. Basically increasing the weight and dropping by 2 reps every time. Pretty much I'm going to have my first 3 weeks of that month where I'm really working up to it. On that 3rd week is typically when I'm going to go for that PR. And then the last week in the month, I'm going to go for kind of like a deload week. And that kind of helps me not to plateau like we were talking about.
Yeah, and I think it brings up the question to... It brings the question to mind as well. If we're talking about you're pushing yourself to maxes, of course, when you're pushing your body, there's always the chance of injury. I was wondering if you found any way in these instances to identify if maybe you're pushing yourself too hard.
Great question.
That's a good question. That's actually something that I've been noticing recently. I'd say the past 2 sessions, I have been feeling my shoulder kind of bugging me a little bit, and it's a shoulder that I've had previous issues with.
Right.
But I know for a fact, because those 2 sessions, I kind of just went through the warm-up just like that, not really taking my time like I usually always do. And I realized, I was like, okay, wow, like something so little, like not taking the time that I need to warm up, doing what I usually do, yields these results, which was leading to that injury. I haven't gotten injured yet, and I don't plan on getting injured, because now I know, I recognize the issue, and I took action to solve that problem.
So definitely you want to listen to your body.
Listen to your body.
If it's talking to you, people, visit the good people over at Start PT Now. And we're joined by Franco with Function with Franco. You talked about increasing weight on your bench. Mm-hmm. I've seen these guys also wear these weighted vested suits.
It's a great way to add intensity, right? Just by adding weight. And that weight, we're holding it in our body, right? Because when it comes to calisthenics, a lot of it is body weight. Weighted vests are great for pull-ups, for push-ups, for dips. I love them. I personally don't have a pair myself yet, but it is an investment that I look to make in the future.
And something as well, I just noticed, I'm feeling it a bit myself, but I saw you lean back in your chair for a second and lean back forward. I think everyone after a long year of working last year is feeling that tightness in the lower back, maybe struggling with a little bit of posture. I know I'm certainly there. Any recommendations for maybe a routine or some sort of exercises or stretches to sort of improve lower back posture for people in a similar boat?
I would totally say something that I've been experimenting with myself. Include some more rotation of the spine. You know, we're so used to flexing and extending the spine on a daily basis with our lifestyle, and you know, we're always sitting down hunched over. Right. We want to spend some more time doing those movements that the spine is meant to do, but that we're actually not doing on a daily basis. And here doing some more rotation. So I like to do a lot of thoracic rotations, and then also lower back strengthening, like the Roman chair. We talked about that last time. And for me, thankfully, I take all that into practice what I preach, right? And I haven't had any lower back issues, not yet.
Well, if not, we know someone who can take care of you.
Exactly.
So we'll
Start PT Now.
There you go. Right, guy, what else we got for Franco?
Yeah, of course, we talk about health, mobility, we talk about strength training, resolutions. I think another thing that's an important part of this equation that everyone's talking about as far as 2025 is nutrition and lifestyle. What nutritional changes would you recommend someone implement to sort of complement a New Year's fitness program?
Just start making your own food. Eat at home, cook at home. I know it sucks. I know sometimes we don't have time to, but honestly, that's going to be the best way. You know what you're putting into your own food. You can stay away from the processed, from the refined foods. Obviously, we all know by now that that's not good for your body. The physiological effects that it induces in the body, it's only going to lead to long-term damage. And every time no matter what you're doing, you want to think long-term, right? So obviously, it's going to be hard making the decisions in the moment, but I've always been a long-term thinker. I'm always going to be a long-term thinker. So one thing for me, my health, my nutrition, is looking at things like that. All right, what can I eat today? What kind of physiological response is this going to induce in my body? Is it something good? Is it something bad? Stay away from the bad things. Do more of the good things.
Well, yeah. Sounds good. I know the Rye Guy's been on a home-cooked diet for the last 30 days, and honestly, it's making
How's
a bit
that been
of a
going
difference.
for you, Ryan?
Yeah, it's funny. Everything you said just completely aligns with sort of what I've felt, at least so far, which is, let's say it's a day where I eat something, I take something out, I carry something out. Mm-hmm. It's heavy, I think, you hit that early afternoon crash, and just, you can sense that it's not the same quality of food, almost, if you want to say it like that. Versus since I've been bringing food in, I'm controlling the portions personally myself. Which is, I feel like, the first step of the equation. I'm able to balance the food groups that I'm choosing more than just relying on, what this restaurant I'm picking up from has. And then also, I just feel like it's completely mitigated my crashes. If I'm eating clean, if I'm bringing in like a cooked skinless chicken breast and some rice or, whatever it may be, or some steak, it just feels cleaner, it digests better, and you have more energy.
Plus, you make it with love, so
yeah, and then the love actually goes a long way as well.
Ryan, have you seen that this nutritional change has affected your performance in the gym?
I would say so. I've been trying to ramp up pretty heavy, start of the year, just like anyone else. I'm doing actually a dry January, And so I'm trying to parlay that in with, exercising 5 days a week, eating clean. I'm counting my calories and macros and everything, just seeing if these are all those missing pieces that have kept me back from hitting, my ideal goals. So, so far so good. I think the counting calories is a big part as well, but especially like what you put into your body, you're going to feel that same output coming out.
Franco, I want to do something next week with this gentleman over here we call the Rye Guy. Let's put him on the scale. Let's take a look at what he's doing there and let's see if he's really going to be accountable for the next couple weeks on his little journey for dry January.
I think that's a very good idea. Definitely.
There it is.
I'm all for it.
We talked about measuring progress, and this is exactly what we're doing here. So,
yeah, and I can show you the direct measurements. I got the MyFitnessPal app on my phone. We could go through some data, and then we could see how it looks in a few weeks' time.
Tech meets health, health meets humanity, and here we are, taking care of each other. And once again, can't thank Franco enough for joining us today at the Start PT Now podcast. And Function with Franco could be found everywhere. We'll put up the links right about now. Now, right, guy, we're going to close out the show. Anything you want to get off to Franco?
Just a thank you to Franco. Like Leo said, Function, that's FUNCTION Franco, FRANCO. That's Instagram and YouTube. Be sure to look him up. Send him direct messages if you want to inquire about any personal training. He offers a lot of great expertise here to Leo and I and to share with you guys, but he's even better on the floor showing you exactly how it's done in person. So be sure to give him a look over there, and also be sure to check out our sponsors at Start PT Now for any rehabilitation needs. This is the year to get into shape, feel good, avoid injury, get into your best physical condition, and these are all parts of the equation. So special thank you to them as well, and thank you, Franco, for joining us.